My name is Scott Redler, Chief Strategic Officer of T3Live.com. Welcome to today's recap and look ahead. Hope everyone's feeling decent. You know, I see some frustration out there. I see some people saying they had the best day of their lives. You know, there's a fine line, and it's that, you know, this thin between, you know, frustration and the best day of your life. You know, I don't like to preach, you know, on days when some had the best day, et cetera, because you know, it's very tricky and emotional, and you know, it doesn't happen often, but it also, you know, it can happen if you're in the right place and you stay the course. I know last week for me was a little choppy. A lot of things didn't work, but as long as you think about the decisions you made, you know, would you do them again? Then you have to take a little bit of positive out of that. If you're like, I would never do that again, then you better write that down and don't do that again. If you're like, I'll do that, you know, 9 more times out of 10, then you know you didn't do anything, or just the action wasn't great. You know, and then that's it. Same way, I hate to say the analogy, when you have an 11 versus 6 on the blackjack, you double down, because chances are you can get a face card. It's a good hand, and if you don't, he might bust. You win 2 different ways. So you have to know how to play, or know whether or not you have a good setup or a bad setup. Okay, what's a good long setup? When you're above the 821 day, when you have a tight pattern, when it's a, you know, a massive name, showing relative strength, and all these things are lining up, and it's a good setup. The decent setup might be, it's been doing that 5-6 times and might be prone to a failure. Or it's a bad setup, below the moving averages, bouncing back to them, rolling back down, unless you short that. You know, and then there's ways to judge the action. So anyway, you know, today wasn't the easiest day. Look at the S&P, 43.56 was the highest. You know, came in, you know, pretty hard, went below this, 43.26, and came back above. I came in with you know, a small hedge on, and I covered most of it. And then on the bounce up, I sold some SPYs. I'll show you that on the SPY. So what did I do? I sold some of the 435 calls, saying, hey, if this is going to be a choppy week, then maybe, you know, I could sell the 435s for 70 cents, which is what I kind of did towards the end of the day. And I'm still short small SPYs, not a lot. You know, today was definitely tricky. You've had, you know, the market's getting more narrow, so you have to be in less things. 1 week ago at this time, I was in 30 plus names, 30 plus, riding a big time active sequence. And then all of a sudden last week, if you look down, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, you know, and a hedge and some VIX and this and that, and I'm just trying to manage it. And, you know, stay in things that act special, and get rid of some things that are a little faulty, and sell some things that might be a little bit early that help. And sometimes, you know, I can't get back in them. But you do all those things, and you're always playing big defense. Defense wins championships. Offense could win some games, but chances are, you know, if you be a little bit defensive with strong offense, you could stay in this for a long time. Yeah, like here. It's just everybody talking. This is on the alpha team.
There may be a chance Scott's coming in on Thursday. So if he does that, then maybe we could hop on.
So here's the Qs. So the Qs came in, you know, a little stronger than the other sectors. It opened up. Oops. And goes from my desk. What was the high of today? 360.48. 360.48. So let's put that in there. That should be in there already, but Red Pup is not putting the highs and the lows in. It's gonna be cool. 360.58. So listen, there are 2 things you could do on a gap up like this. You could say, hey, I'm in some longs that were strong from Friday and sell some, or you could say, the small caps are a little weaker. This is there, that's there. I'm going to short the world. And then all of a sudden it gets to the prior day low. You add to it, and then boom. You know, but if it failed and had a huge red bar, you could have made money there. It's all how you play it. I tend to not be so worried about missing shorts. I'd rather not just be caught too long, and that's my strategy. That's how I feel comfortable. That's how I've made a living. Losing a little bit when the market's faulty, maybe catching a short here or there, doing whatever, and then being there with a clear mind, full heart. So I can't lose now. You always lose a little, or you try not to lose as much, and then I find where the action is. So anyway, it kind of got to the 8th day. It was stretched and held in there. Remember this wedge? Remember? Anyway, but then again, I was wrong last week. I said I think it feels like the small caps are going to break out. So I bought some options for the potential breakout. I bought some stock with a calculated IWM, but Friday's action got me out of most. And then today, you had a place to put in some stops to revisit. So if you look here, coming into this day, it looked as if, IWM was ready to break above this channel. Looked like it could take this out. Here was where, I got in. Let's get rid of this. Hold on. Anyway, this is where we bought it for the red dog reversal. Okay, all of a sudden, then the jobs number came out. Felt like it should go up, and it didn't. So what did most people get stopped at? If you had a sell rule, you could have sold a little when it was up above a prior high. Then when it couldn't hold it, you could have sold some. And then when it went red, you could have sold some. Or when it broke below this low here, you could have sold some. Those are your sell rules. Sell some into strength, feel good. Can't hold a prior high. If you have too much, sell some. That means there's no momentum, breaks below prior low. Maybe that could change. And then what happened here? Broke below this. And then today, I got stopped out, right into this 228.57. So if you missed that candle, that was your candle. And now, who knows? It went as low as 223.87. And now it's loose and wide. It's got to figure it out. But it no longer looks like an upper bull flag ready to take out 233 to 234. If it rebuilds, I'll redo that trade. Maybe it's in 2 weeks. Maybe it's in a month. I don't know. But all I know is this trade hurt some, or it could have been nothing. Hey, you could have bought here, trimmed some, sold some, got out of the way, and made money in that. You were perfect. I wasn't perfect. I actually lost. But I got stopped out of my size when it went below that low, whatever that low was for the day. And now it's still in this channel. You could have stopped out 228 or even 227 and saved yourself $3 or $4 before the bounce. But just as an active trader, you can't rely on guys on TV. You can't rely on people on Twitter. You need to know your own set of rules and watch the action. And if something doesn't look, smell, and feel right, get the hell out of the way so then the market can do its market discovery. That was Tesla. Tesla was horrible. Horrible on Friday. Tesla had a very loose wide action on Friday to get me out. I got out of it and I was pissed. I thought about Tesla like 4 different times over the holiday weekend. I'm like, what a dirty move. Why a dirty move? Because it got above this spot, went to 700 real fast. Everyone thought they missed it. And then if you waited to buy a pullback, it turned into a bigger pullback and a bigger pullback. And if you use your retracement rules, I remember saying, if this is any good, it should hold, I think it was 686. I started buying at 692. I bought more at 686. I got stopped out at 678. But better than riding it all the way down to 651. So if you didn't get out with me, at least you had this 2-day pivot to get out of the way. And if you didn't dare, then your overall stop was 667 from in here. So hopefully you only had a 25% on. You didn't give it all back because you have a tier system. But that was a clue. There's always clues. And then on the other side of the coin, you had Apple, which was strong. It probably needs to rest here. I wouldn't be so big ahead of 145. I did ride it also from here. I sold it into 137. I missed that day. I bought it on the pullback today. I'm maybe have $1 on it. I'm going to wait. Maybe there'll be a trade here. Maybe it needs some time, but I'm going to just try and stay a little engaged here. But it's had a big move and it's extended. If you buy too much when it's extended, you're going to be selling it down here when it bounces and goes. Anyway, where I made my money today was Amazon. Remember, I've said so many different times, like when I'm in, the options, I have a thesis, I have an idea, I think it's going to happen. But then when I'm in the options and the stock in the same direction, typically it turned on as a trade. So now my idea is turning into a great strategy. And if I'm in both, you should look at it a little closer. Well, there's been lots and lots of times I talked about Amazon, and I know it was not a lot of fun when it failed over here, or maybe not a lot of fun when it stopped there, But again, those times the stock wasn't ready. Stock's ready when it's ready. So here is when I put on my call spread. I put on a 37 by 3900, cost me like $15. It was worth 75 today. That's almost 5 times your money. I still have 75% on that on, so I still have a lot of risk there. And then on this candlestick on Friday, I sold some puts to get more exposure. I think I sold, which ones did I sell? I sold the 3,400, saying it shouldn't get below 3,400. If I think it's going to break out here, it's not getting below there. So I took in some premium, so that got me more exposure. Then towards the end of the day, I bought it long. So right there, 3 different ways to have Amazon exposure. So you guys better be, oh, sugar honey iced tea, Red Dog's getting a lot more conviction on Amazon. Let me get more conviction. And then today, you know, you couldn't really buy 35.24, but you could have bought through 35.54 pretty damn fast. And it was a good trade. You know, and then it went to like 3,600 and backed off. I'll tell you, my best day trade was actually in the morning right here. I'll show you where. I kind of missed the first move. I had what I had overnight, but I didn't add to it so fast because I didn't want what happened to me last week, where last week I bought it too fast. If you remember last week, and I was kind of a little bit on edge, buying things too fast. So here it went as high as what? You know, 590, 596, and then right after this nice little bull flag, I bought some and sold, you know, went as high as 620. So you could have made like 25 points in this one move. So this was my good day trade. If you didn't take anything overnight, you missed it fast. Here's where it proved it was going to hold and could have made you 25 points in cash flow. So different type of trade than positioning overnight, different type of trade than going in the first few minutes going through that price. It was more like, hey, now it proved it can go higher. And then there was one more trade that I actually took in the afternoon. Look at it right here. Got above the afternoon high, and I actually took the trade off. I just won one cash flow trade through this, and then I wound up going. So anyway, that trade worked, and it worked very, very well. I also listed Shop today because I figured if Amazon's going to go, Shop looks pretty damn good, you know, and Shop had a nice move, you know, pivot to 1540 right below 1551, triggered through here. This was the language. I haven't had Shop in a while, so everyone was, oh, Red Dog has Shop on. Maybe just take an extra look at it if I had never had it on or I haven't had it on in a while. So this was what I drew. Shop has a choppy type bull flag. Perhaps you can be long versus 1430, which is this pivot. Others might wait for a high volume move above 1551 to open the door for higher prices. Okay. I'm sure most people got in here when it triggered above, you know, the prior day's high, not waiting for 1551, or maybe you are. So anyway, that's a little bit of that too. ZS I didn't trade. Some guys like, Red Dog, you haven't listed this one. This one looks pretty good. I'm like, yeah, you know, it actually looks pretty good. I was that high. Took out this little inside range. How high did it get to? 225.69. Nice job, Brandon. This is 224, I think. All-time high is 231. So that's your next pivot. If it opens down, maybe you could buy it through 225 and then maybe through 231. If it gaps up huge, you have to have a little overnight risk, and then maybe you'll trim some into that. That's how to think about it. Every day I try and think, if this happens, then that. If that, then this. And that's that. You know, and again, the weaker sectors, like someone's like, what do you think about the banks? I'm like, I don't know. JP Morgan kind of, you know, had a nice bounce up. Okay. Came into, I guess you could say, some resistance and just broke this accelerated trend. You know, or broke this rising channel or ascending channel, whatever you want to call this. It broke. And it was already broken. This rose broke that, so now it's made a lower high. Didn't really get to this spot, which we said was resistance, right? 156-ish. 157-ish. Try to get to 156-ish. I actually got to 157-ish. Now what? I don't know. That's one big down bearish day. I'm not buying that. I don't buy day one down, because day one down sometimes, you know, gets you day two, day three down. You know, this is, you know, this is not a bull signal to me, so you have to wait. You know, NCLH, some of the cruise lines. I'm glad I have a, you know, strategy here too, where, you know, we played it for a move, and then right into here, broke the moving averages. That's when I got stopped out. All right, and now I don't know. Maybe some people were long versus and got stopped out. If they didn't get stopped out there, bull flag, H cell setup. This is an H cell setup. Look, down, meet the lower portion of the H into the moving averages, and break the bottom end of the H, and boom. So those of you who like to short things, this is probably something that you could have done pretty well with. And now what? I don't know. It doesn't have to, but maybe it works its way all the way down to here. It's not much else to go over. A lot of the names, the concept names, we got stopped out of last week. SKLZ, SKLZ. Didn't even get up to this 2488 on this day through the doji. That was your spot to get stopped out of. You bought here, boom, that could have been it. Now it's, it's a one way up, one way down. So that, but right here was important. If you were playing it for a bull flag to continuation, it broke. And now what? I don't know. Maybe there's a bounce trade here. If we did the same thing with CCIV, this one actually did take out this pivot to give one more trade from this area that we first had it. But then what did it do? A red dog reversal. What's a red dog reversal? Got above a prior high, couldn't hold it, and that was your sell rule. Now you're 3 days down. So now maybe, I don't know, maybe there's a trade to scalp, but to me it's, again, it's not that compelling in this type of market. But if you get out of it, maybe there's a way to buy it. Maybe this extends out a little bit, maybe it comes to here, which would be boom, high, still. So this would be a higher low. But again, if Tesla's acting like you know what, I tend to not like to be in the EVs that are like the bottom of the chain. Same thing with NIO. Everyone's like, oh, NIO. I'm like, nah. Anyway, it was stronger than that. Here, this was your buy. That's when I was in it. And I actually sold it into strength, and then it did a red dog reversal sell around 53.83. I did buy some Walmart, say some options. Just some options, just to watch it a little closer. It's got a nice little inside wedge set up here. So maybe with the strength in Amazon, maybe something happens here, to the upside. Could be. Netflix was still on 25% of those calls. Sounds like, Red Dog, you should add it and take it home overnight. Maybe in a different market I would have, considering it just hung out here for, a week and then pushed above this and showed relative strength today while other things didn't. So I'm like, you know what? I'll just keep my options that I had from here that we bought for peanuts, and thank goodness, because we made a lot of money. But this also, it's in just a big range. I don't know what the exact narrative could be to get this out of above this range here of 560, but you're talking 60, 70 points. You're talking 620s to measure and move there. If the market figures out a reason, maybe they have a gaming platform there. Maybe COVID does come back. No one's going out anymore. I don't know. But all in all, big channel here. A lot of money being put to work. That's why I actually bought it down here. But now this is turning into a different type of trade. So we'll have to see. All in all, very nice option trade. And that's why I'm trying not to look at it. I'm trying to just let 25% go. Because when I did it, I did these options. We did them a while ago. Where is Netflix? Netflix calls right there. It's 520s. So that was when the stock was 511. Now it's at 542. So think about how much those are up. So it's good. And the little ones, that you have to be real fast with. Like that Concept Energy Group, I tried it. Different market to go. Maybe those things would have a huge move like some of the other spec names that have huge moves, but it didn't. So, I had to get out of it. USEG, Concept Energy Group, had some tries, and then it broke. Got above this and failed, and now it's coming back into here, and shouldn't have done that if it was going to be any good. What could have been your real stop here, right about there, was probably your stop. A lot of guys got stopped out on Friday. I wasn't at my desk, so I still had a portion. I just sold it today. This shouldn't have happened. If it was going to be any good, it should have stayed up here and went. It didn't. But again, some of these times, these things have huge moves, and sometimes they're just spec names that don't hold up. That's why you have to be on your toes when you play things like that. That's it, guys. I got to get going. It's 4:30. If you had a tricky day, go do something outside. It's July. You shouldn't be so stressed out over the markets anyway. Hopefully, you had a good half year, and now you're having some fun in the sun, doing some things that make you happy. Hopefully, July 4th just happened. Some guys like, I got so beat up last week, I couldn't do Amazon. Now I'm really mad. I'm like, well, then you better go for a run and do something, because that means you're going to do something stupid tomorrow, and then you're going to lose money 3 days in a row. So you might as well not do something stupid tomorrow, so come in with a clear head. It's a new day. And if you do things like that, things line up. Small steps lead to firmer ground, and then you all of a sudden feel better and better, make more and more, and then all of a sudden you just made money for 2 weeks. Like, holy cow, I'm back and what the highs of my year, just like that. But you won't do that if you're not in the right head. So I'll see you in the morning. Good night, guys.